Hello. Well, it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, and today I literally woke up and I thought I want to make a YouTube video today. So it's about something simple, and it is the control of saturation and brightness in material graphs. Now, if you're an Unreal Engine expert, this video is not for you. But if you are just starting with Unreal Engine or you're intermediate, you may not have come across this, and so I'll show you now. Right. Okay, so what we have here is this scene, and with this character here. What I want to do is, let's just stop that for a moment. I'm going to open up the materials on my character. Okay, so let me bring those across. And this is what it is. It's just a very basic material. Obviously, it looks a little messy. We'll not concern ourselves with that today. In fact, yeah, let's tidy this up a little bit. So up here, if we follow this is the emissive color. So I'm going to drag off, search for add, and add a name reroute declaration node, and we will call this emissive. Can never remember how to spell emissive. Okay, and then what we can do is drag off here in, let's just zoom in what I'm doing, this emissive connection, and search for the emissive reroute that we just created. And there you go. Let's remove one wire, and now we can repeat it for the color. So let's do add. Search for add name reroute declaration node. Choose color. Or we'll call this base color to avoid any confusion. And go up to our base color on the result node. And search for base color. And there it is. Named reroute base color. Next one is metallic. So let's follow the wire. I presume it's going to this, but is it the blue channel? Yeah. So I'm going to drag off the blue channel of this mask texture and add. Hopefully by now you get the general impression. So we'll call this metallic, was it? Yeah, metallic. Another word that I can't seem to spell. I really need to go back to school. I think there's 2 L's in metallic, is there? Yep, okay. Okay. Can't be good at everything. Right, I'm going to drag off metallic and search for that. Metallic with 2 L's. There we go. That's another wire removed. Next is roughness, which goes to the green of this mask look. So let's add roughness. Roughness. Oops, sorry. Call this roughness. And drag off the result node roughness and search for roughness. There we go. And next is normal. So let's drag off our normal texture. Add and add reroute declaration node, normal. You can also set the colors for these. So for normal, maybe we could do like a bluey purple, like so. And let's go to the result node again and normal. This just makes everything so clean. And finally is ambient occlusion, which is the red channel of this mask. So add and ambient occlusion. In fact, I'll just name that AO because it's quite long. And we can now go over to our result node again and search for AO and the name reroute. That's it. Now I want you to look at that. we've removed all those wires and it's still functioning the same. Now what we can do is clean up even further. And so here is our base color. So we can select all those nodes, press C on the keyboard, and we can add a comment and call this base color. And we can give that a color, and we'll just do yeah, maybe that color. And I like to move this up to the top because that is where base color is on the results now. It's not essential, but I like to organize things that way. The next was our emissive, which is this one here. Just move that roughness down and press C on the keyboard and emissive, and we'll give this a color, maybe like a, yeah, that'll do. And then finally our masks here. So we have, oh sorry, we have a normal as well, so we'll do normal. Drag this down, C, normal, and let's set the color for that to be out there. And then we'll just move our masks out of the way, move the normal up. And finally our masks, which are in order: ambient occlusion from the red channel, roughness, and metallic. And we will just create comment for these and create ARM for ambient occlusion, roughness, metallic, masks. And I want to set this to like a green, so I know it's that. Okay, now we'll go to the final output node as well and comment and call this output. Now I personally like to color this black so I know it means business. There we go. And that's it. Look how clean that is. Now, this wasn't the purpose of this tutorial, but I just couldn't leave that the way it was. If you're like me and you need to organize, then you completely understand. Anyway, so now we're all organized. We can make changes to the individual parts. What I'm going to show you today is how to, as I said, work with saturation and brightness. We won't work with hue today because that becomes a little bit too complicated. So let's first tackle saturation. Looking at this, how can we do saturation? So change the saturation of our character. It's got like a green tint to it, you see that? So let's do this. And what I'm going to search for is RGB to HSV, and it's under the math nodes. So we'll do RGB to HSV. We zoom in on that, and then we're going to need a second one, which is HSV to RGB, and again it's on the math. There we go. Right, we're going to drag off this first node and break, and we want break out float 3 components like so. And then to recombine them, we're going to need a make. So we do make, and we need make float 3, and we connect that to the HSV to RGB node. And now we will link R to X, G to Y, B to Z. Okay. And now we can comment this. So we will do saturation and brightness. Like so, and we'll give this its own individual color. We'll do this as blue. Now I want to make this comment box a lot bigger because we've got more to do. Like so. There we go. Nice and organized. Now for the input to the RGB to HSV, I'm going to search for our base color, named reroute. There we go. And for the output, I'm going to create a new reroute node, add named reroute declaration node, and we'll call this base color final. Okay. And we need to make one more adjustment, and that is to our output node. Currently, we're using this base color. Delete that and drag off a base color and search for base color final, the node we just created. Okay. Now, as you can see, nothing has changed in the viewport. So what is happening is this color is being generated here, the green. Let me show you this. So if I change this to maybe to red, see, that will change like so. So we'll leave it at green for now. And then it comes out here in this base color node. And then from that base color node here, look, we're getting the output of that, passing it to an RGB to HSV. We're breaking into 3 floats. And here we combine those 3 floats again into HSV. And then we have a HSV to RGB node. And then finally our final output color, which then goes into our result node. Okay, so here's where the fun begins. If we just move this up slightly, just probably about there. So HSV. H is hue, S is saturation, and V is value. Or you could see value as brightness. Okay, so 0, let me go through these. So for saturation, we will ignore hue, as I said, for today. Saturation 0 to 1. 0 is black and white, and 1 is full color. Same for value, which is in the blue channel, or in this breakout node. 0 is think it in terms of brightness. So 0 is no brightness, 1 is max brightness or the current brightness. So we can adjust these like so. First, let's adjust saturation. So saturation, we pull off the green channel, find a multiply node, like so. Take the output of the multiply node and put it into Y on the make float. See, all I've done is intercepted between these 2 points here. Then if you come over here and press 1 and left click, it creates a float value. And for now, we will just set this to 1. And we're going to convert this to a parameter, and we will name this saturation. And attach that to B on the multiply node. We now have a control for saturation. Next, we will need to control the brightness. So again, just move that out of the way. We're going to drag off of B on our breakout float 3 components. Search for multiply. Take the output of this multiply node and place it into Z on the make float 3 node. And just make sure these are separated so you can see. Let me try and stretch this out a little bit to make things clearer. Yep, that's better. Okay. And then we're going to need another scalar value. So I'm going to, again, click 1. Well, left clicking and join this to B. I'm also going to set this to 1. As you can see, this keeps changing over here. We'll get to it in a moment. We're going to convert to a parameter and call this brightness. Okay, so now we have these parameters. You can access them over here. Look, the default value for saturation is 1 and also for brightness. Let's click on saturation. So if we now adjust here the default value, as you can see, we don't want it to go below 0. So slider min and slider max. So for slider max, let's do 5. After about 5, things start breaking down. So for slider min, we'll keep that at 0. So let's do this at the default value at 0.1. And as you can see, it's still pretty much black and white. If we go to 0.5, the color started to come back. And if we go all the way up to 5, which is our maximum, we get a really deep green now. So let's set the default value to 1 anyway. For brightness, it's the same. For slider max, I'm actually going to set this pretty high. Let's say 50. And slider min, 0. Default value 1 is adequate. But if we turn up this default value, as you can see, it adjusts the brightness. So if I set default value to 0, the material is pretty dark. See? And then if we turn it up, it gets brighter and brighter and brighter. Let's put it on maximum 50. As you can see, that's pretty bright. Anyway, set the default value to 1, and that's it. And make sure this is contained in there. Okay, so we're all organized. We've had a brightness and saturation, and now we can use this to create a material instance. So I'm going to click up here to the folder icon. I'm going to right click on this material and I'm going to create a material instance, and we will call this MI for material instance, body, and underscore inst for instance. Okay, and we'll do a save all. Now if I go back to my character, in the body section, we're only concentrating on the body at the moment. Rather than have the material M underscore body, we're going to actually use a material instance here. So I'm going to select my material instance and then click this arrow icon, and that's it. We're now using a material instance. So we can now open up that instance and we can now alter our scalar parameters because they're here. That's the beauty of material instances. So select brightness. I don't know what the param is for. That came with, oh, it's for the glow, for the emissive. That came with the character. So we'll not worry about that. And then saturation, which is like so. You can test it out on your character. So let me find my character. There he is. So you have to select it in the content drawer and then hit this one, this block icon here. It's pretty hard to see on the screen, but it's right up here. Okay. Camera looks a little strange, so you can adjust the field of view. I usually set this to 20. There we go. And we can zoom out and go up. There we go. That's better. And now from here we can really see what happens to the character look. So we can turn it into metal, or we can crank up the saturation and it's a lot more green. You see that? So let's do that. And then we can adjust the brightness like so. So we can have like a dark metal even. Or we can have like a white stormtrooper type character, I guess. I mean, it looks nothing like a stormtrooper, but you know what I mean. Right. And so I think I'm going to turn the brightness right down. Something very low. Let's go to 0.5. So we get this dark gunmetal effect. And then saturation, we can crank up to maybe 1.7. And that's it, look. So in context, let's see what it looks like in the scene. Yeah, so we've now got a much darker character look. Let me switch on the camera. There we go. And so that's it. I hope you found this useful. Most of it was just me rambling, but it shows you how to organize your materials and then how to gain some control over saturation and brightness. If you like this kind of thing, comment below this kind of informal tutorial, because I like doing these. It's less work for me, but also I get to share things that just pop into my head very quickly. That's it. I have got some more things on the way, and there's some new products coming to the Fab store very soon. I can't discuss that now, so stay tuned for that. I have a MetaHuman tutorial that I want to do. I don't know when that's going to be out, but I will try and put it together, and that will be a properly edited tutorial. Okay, all right. Enjoy, and please remember to like and subscribe. It really does help. Bye bye.